Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial where I'm going to show you how to get a custom border in Microsoft Word using an image. Now, there are several ways to get custom borders in Microsoft Word. I've seen quite a few, but this one specifically is going to be using images. If you've seen something around the web or you have something that you've created yourself and you want to use it as your border, I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, there are two methods that I'm aware of. The first method is ideal for printing and PDF exporting. So if you're not going to keep the file in its original Word format, then this is the best method for that. And the second method is if you are going to keep it in Word format and you're going to view it or present it or distribute it in a Microsoft Word format, it's probably best to do option number 2. I will provide markers in the description box below to method 1 and method 2 if you want to just skip the intro and get started on the tutorials, or if you want to just skip to method number 2, you can also do that. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is obviously open your Microsoft Word program. I'm using Microsoft Word 2007, but I'm aware of this working all the way up to Microsoft Word 2016, I believe, and in some older versions of it as well. The whole layout up here may be different in different versions of Microsoft Word. However, it's pretty much still the same concept. What you have to find is this right here, which is basically the watermark. And that's what we're going to use in this first method, is a watermark for a custom border. So you want to click that, go down here to custom watermark, and you're going to select a picture. I'm going to use this one right here. Now, this is very important. You have to make sure that this washout feature here is deselected. If you leave it selected, what it's going to do is it's going to lighten your border. And if you don't want your border to be lighter, then that's going to be an issue. So now click apply. So now you're going to notice that a lot of the time on this auto setting right here, it doesn't necessarily scale it to, the full document. So you're going to have to kind of play around with it a little bit and figure out, you have these preset percentages here. So I'm going to go ahead and do 100%, apply, and see where that gets me. And now you'll notice that there's nothing on the document. So what that means is it's too big and the image is actually scaled outside of the document. So let's try something smaller, and let's do 50%. And that's a little bit too small for my taste. So I'm going to go up to 55%. And that's a little bit too big. Let's try 53. Alright, perfect. Okay, so you're just going to close this. And you now have your document. You'll notice that it's a little bit washed out, but wait a minute, didn't we deselect the washout feature? Now, this is why I was talking about this feature is best for printing and for PDF exporting, because what Microsoft Word does is, because this image is like in the background, they still wash it out anyway. However, when you're going to print or export this document, it is going to show it at full opacity. Now trust me guys, I've done this, I've printed this, and I've exported this to PDF, and it works. It will show it at full opacity when exported or printed. So now you'll notice that when you start to type, your text is going to be a lot of the times directly over your border. Now to fix this, you can go into the margins and play around with it. The best bet would probably be to go into custom margins and kind of play around with the settings here. If you want to make this larger, we'll try 2 inches. Okay. But you notice that when you do that, your border also moves with the margin. Now how do you fix this? Well, you gotta double click up here. You can either double click up here or down here, your header or your footer. I'm going to do the header. So double click, and this will bring you into your header. So now when you're in your header, you'll notice that your border is at full opacity, which, like I said, is going to show when you print or export it. And you want to click your image. This is the beautiful thing about it. You can move your image around when you're in here. And check the bottom. Might move it up a little bit more. Maybe a tiny bit more. There we go. So now to get out of your header, you're just going to hit the escape key twice. And you're back in here. And that looks like it worked pretty well. Your text is no longer overlapping with your border. You can kind of play around with the settings, making your margins as big or as narrow as you want them to be. There's some preset settings right here, but I always recommend going into custom margins and just making sure that they fit your needs and your border. I wanted to show you guys this PDF format file that I exported from the file that we were just looking at, just to show you guys this full opacity here. When you export it or you print it, it does show the full opacity. So there you have it. That is the first method of how to have a custom border in Microsoft Word. If you want to keep your file in Microsoft Word format, then stick around for method number 2. Now for the second method, which is ideal for keeping this in its original Word format for viewing, distributing, or presenting in Word, it's going to be quite simple. It's just inserting an image pretty much. And if you watch the first method, you'll know that this method is better for keeping it in Word format, because when you use a watermark, it kind of dilutes the picture, makes it a little bit lighter, and so your border looks a little bit lighter. But this method is going to keep it at full opacity, so that'll be best for when viewing and distributing in Word format. So like I said, we're just going to insert a picture, and it's going to be the picture of the border that you want to use. Now, before you do anything else, before you scale it and want to play around with this, what you have to do is you have to right-click this and go to text wrapping and select behind text. So this is going to allow you to type over this image. And now you're free to scale this to whatever dimension you want. Obviously it has to be something that's going to look good as a border. Now don't worry if it's a little bit off center. We can use a great feature to center this border, and that's going to be the align feature up here. And you're going to select align center, align middle to get it perfectly centered in your document. Now, like the first method, when you want to type, you're going to notice that you are probably going to be typing directly over your border image. So you can go into your margin settings and kind of play around with this. I always recommend to use custom settings to get it just perfect. I'm going to select it 2, and you'll notice that that moves your image, but you can always just move it back. Unfortunately, when you do use the margin settings and you move your margins around, you're not going to be really able to use your align feature anymore, as it's going to align it with the margin, and so it's going to cause a little bit of distortion. When you do that, it's going to bring it right back down again. So you're going to have to just kind of freehand this and bring it up manually, but that should kind of fix your text position a little bit, and just kind of play around with the settings until you're satisfied with something. And yeah, that pretty much concludes this method. As you'll notice, it's at full opacity. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, and subscribe, keep posted. I'll be posting a lot more tutorial videos from now on.